On this episode of Kicking It with Shaw, I'm chilling with Bernadine, the truth, and we take our friendship to a whole different level. Talk about why she's hesitant about guys and her relationship with God and how that changed with things that happen in her life. Check out the episode. Let me know what you think. Welcome to another episode of Kicking It with Show. I am your host, Show, and today I am with the lovely Bernadine, the truth.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Bernadine, also known as Bernadine Truth.
What's going on with you? How you been?
I'm chilling. I'm good.
We've been trying to do this for a while.
Far too long.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm happy that I finally was able to make it happen.
Yes.
We were finally able to make it happen. It's not just on my schedule.
It is not. I'm not gonna put it on you. I wasn't about to put it on you.
I felt it. I heard it. I was about to put it on you, but no, it's not just me.
You are definitely more busy than I am.
I feel like we all have situations.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, right.
Life.
We are pretty busy people.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? For everybody that's watching, we're from Boston.
Yes.
We live in the great city of Boston, Massachusetts.
Yep.
And I started this Kicking It with Show as a journey, just to figure out where everybody's at, where I'm at in this journey of life, and how we deal with all our traumas that we've been going through. And that's what this is all about. That's what Kicking It with Show is, and me going around to people that I have seen them, love what they're doing, and it's always inspired me to see when they talk about all the stuff that they've gone through. I'm like, what transpired? So right. I'm going to start with, what was your childhood like?
Okay. That's a great question. My childhood, I think, in what sense? Like in the positives?
How did you grow up? I mean, I know you're Haitian.
Yep. So
but how was your household like?
Yeah, so I'm first generation Haitian American. Product of a single family. I consider it a single family household. My parents were divorced when I was a teenager, about 13 years old, maybe even 12. At this point, I feel like details get so blurry, like I don't even know anymore. But yeah, born and raised in Boston. Both my parents are born in Haiti. My mother is from Port-au-Prince. My father is from Léogâne. I call my father a sperm donor. That's really how I associate life with him. I'm like, you donated your sperm to bring my siblings and I here. I'm grateful for you. But I grew up very religious. I grew up in a Catholic household. My mother was like very into church. Actually, prior to my mother being married, she went to school to be a nun, and she left schooling for that because she had like a heart condition and things. And they were like, there's a lot of struggles and challenges that go with being a nun. So like, take care of you and
we already deal with a lot.
Yeah.
Now you're bringing all that.
Emotions of the life in the world and stuff like that. So she left that. Ended up meeting my biological father's sperm donor in the U.S. and all of that. I grew up, I think, in a very, I wouldn't say blended family in that like a husband and a wife, or a man and woman, or woman and woman, and man and man bring their children together. But I would say it was like blended in the sense that like my house had all of my family and relatives in it. So like my mother's home was like the transition home for everybody. So like at some point in my life when I was a teenager in my upper teen years, like 15, 16, my aunts and uncles, some of them from Haiti, came to live with us. And my grandmother always lived with me as long as I can remember, since I was an infant. Wow. Raising me when I was a child, when I was like just born, I was sent to Haiti to live there for like 6 months and on. I came back when I was about like 3 years old, or 2.5, 3 years old. French was my first spoken language. Then after that was Haitian Creole, and I learned English in school. I wasn't in ESL, but they just threw me in school and was like, you will speak English. And
this is all back home in Haiti.
This is here. So like back. So at 6 months I was sent to Haiti. Came back.
6 months when? Like what was the age grad?
Like literally when I was 6 months old.
6 months old.
Yeah. When I was 6 months old, I was sent to Haiti, and I stayed there until I was about 3 years old, and I came back here. And then just was raised with family, and then like my grandmother, like I said, was always with my family for as long as I can remember. And yeah, I mean, education has been important to my mother as far as like school, like good schooling and structure. So I grew up going to a Catholic school, and then when I was in 5th grade, transitioning into 6th grade, my mother placed me in a charter school. So I went to a charter school called the Academy of the Pacific Rim in Hyde Park, and I currently serve on their board today, and I really like that school. And then, yeah, that's like pretty much it. But like growing up, I mean, I think again, traditionally with like family all around me, growing up in the church, my mother was in the choir. So Sundays were long days.
So you're really embedded in the religious aspect and kind of like the Haitian.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I definitely grew up in the stereotypical traditional Caribbean household that's like your Caribbean roots are important to you, and so is the spiritual side.
Yeah.
My family is Catholic, and so I grew up on the Catholic side. So I had my received confirmation, communion, baptisms, all of that.
What was that ever like an issue for you in any sense of the word? Any sense of the way? Anything like that?
Growing up Catholic wasn't an issue for me. I would say spirituality became an issue for me at some points in my life when I experienced a lot of trauma, and I felt like, I had those thoughts like, if God was real, then why am I going through this? Like, what is this? When I was an adolescent, like I experienced some challenges, and the first place my mother brought me like afterwards, after being released from the hospital, was a church, and was just like, the devil possessed you, and like, you need to get your, we need to bring you to church to shake you of this. And I'm like, I'm not possessed.
We need to remove all the evil
all these
spirits out of you.
And I'm like, it's not like that.
That's not what's going on here
at all. That's not at all what happened.
All.
So I was looking at her like, bruh, chill. So when that happened, I felt like my relationship with religion or with spirituality, I think, was a little challenged.
Okay.
Because of my upbringing that way. But so I left the church for a bit, and I was just like, I lost my way, and I couldn't really stay focused, and I don't know, I was just like sad, I was hurt, and I was just like, I felt neglected, I felt betrayed by the church. And so I remember that happening when I was about 15, 16 years old, and then went through like highs and lows of church ever since. And I found my way back to church in the past couple of years, like these past 2 years on my own, and that feels really, really good. So I'm definitely spiritually based.
At least one of us can step into the church.
The church will always welcome you.
And I'm not I grew up Jehovah's Witness. Me and you have spoken about this numerous times. I'm a spiritual person.
Yeah.
You see the way I carry myself and everything like that. So, but I'm glad that even though you wasn't going to church, you were still spiritual. You still had a spiritual foundation in the way you carried yourself.
Absolutely. But I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I think ever since I was an adolescent, I was like really sick. I had this kidney disease or disorder called nephrotic syndrome. And
say that again?
Nephrotic syndrome.
Okay.
So it's like when your kidneys don't work correctly. And so a lot of people who have that don't live for many years, and then you go through dialysis as well.
Oh.
And I didn't end up having to go through dialysis at all, and I was miraculously healed by this. And what I mean by that is I grew up in the church, and so I learned the power of prayer. And I had this very young, and so I wasn't expected to live for many years into my teens. And I remember being really sick and having to get multiple shots on my arms and having to take medication. I was on prednisone, which is like steroid, like all the time. I had to put this like Centrum stick in my urine to filter it out. Like it was a lot. And I just remember I was a child, right? I was like 4 or 5, and I'm like, what is going on with me? Like, this is super painful. And I remember going to a church in Montreal, and I want to say it was St. Joseph's Church, beautiful church in Montreal. And I remember praying on a cathedral. I forget the details, excuse me, don't quote me on it. But I prayed on a St. Joseph's statue, and I was just like, God, like, why am I so sick? I want to be healed from this. I don't want to be sick anymore. And I kid you not, I was a child who was in and out of the doctor's office all the time based on protocol. Came back from this trip in Montreal, went to the doctors, and there was no sign of nephrotic syndrome in my system at all.
It was just gone.
It was gone.
Wow.
So,
blessings.
So I really believe in miracles because I am one, right? So again, a disorder that impacts a lot of people, and people don't live from it or struggle to live from it, right? Because again, your kidneys don't work.
Kidneys don't work.
So like anything else, right? Like if one kidney's stronger than another one, then one becomes more dependent, and you can't live without both kidneys. So, so here I am, and like a lot of other things have transpired in my life since too, where I have to take a step back, and I'm like,
just regroup a little bit.
Yeah, like I'm also like, I made it because there's a higher power.
Yeah.
Like I didn't make it by myself. Like I remember walking out of South Bay one day, and a car was like flying through the parking lot, and I was distracted by I don't even know what. I can't even blame it on my phone. I think I was just spaced out for a minute, and I felt a force just pulled me back. You're walking forward, so a force just pulled me back, and a car just flew forward. And so if
shit.
I had taken half a step
That would
more,
have been it.
Gone. It wasn't even, wouldn't be like, oh, my toes broken. It would have been like bones and flesh,
Whoa.
skin and blood.
The car was going that fast.
It was in the parking lot for no reason. And I literally was like removed from the situation and placed on the sidewalk.
Okay.
So,
all right. So yeah, you
I
can
definitely have guardian angels. No, I'm saying,
yeah, you can definitely say that.
I sincerely have guardian angels watching over me.
Now, that's dope.
So,
I kind of have to agree with you a little bit on that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, growing up, my father always told me, don't walk walk just these eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there's always other things
Mm-hmm.
and working out. So there was a time that me and my father weren't speaking at the time. You know, and I was just going out another regular night, you know what I'm saying, with my boys and stuff like that. And he just called me randomly. You know, he just called me randomly, and I wasn't even gonna pick it up. You know when you're beefing with your parents, you don't want to pick up the phone. So he called me, I was just like, this is random. So I just picked up the phone. I was like, what's up? You know, he's like, hey, just want to tell you, just be careful today. You know, be careful this weekend if you're doing anything. All right. I was like, okay.
Cool.
Thank you. But that sat with me. Because I know him. I'm like, he doesn't just
the intuition came from somewhere.
He doesn't just randomly call.
Right.
So we're getting ready to go out, and I'm telling my boys, my boys like, why you hesitating to get ready? I'm like, yo, I ain't even gonna front with y'all, man. My pops just called. Like, your pops called. I'm like, yeah.
You out.
But, like, he just yeah, he scared the shit out of me. You know, he was like, he's like, yo, be careful.
Yeah.
He's like, so what you gonna take that as? Don't go out. I'm like, look, man, we're driving kind of far. Anything can happen. I'm just gonna cool out on this one. Thankfully, for me, not for my boys, they got pulled over. A whole bunch of stuff went down that wasn't supposed to go down. You know,
Say less.
Yo, listen.
Life happens.
Life happens.
Yeah.
My boys came back, was like, yo, whenever your father calls again.
Tell all of us so we can sit
all
at
of us,
home.
you know.
Right,
so,
have a game night down the street where you can walk.
So, it's not the first time that he's done that where it saved my life.
I'm telling you.
You know, so it's like a part of me understands that there is definitely something out there.
Right.
Like I said, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. So I do believe that there is something, there is something out there. So I feel like if people ignore that, something's telling them, like, we all see signs in our life, in your regular day life. If something's happening, all of that stuff, you be like, why is all this happening? And then all of a sudden you're like, you know what? It might seem tough that's going on because you don't want it to happen.
Right.
But then at the end, when it all happens, you're like, oh, wow.
It's meant to happen.
It's meant to happen.
When I tell you, I have stories for days and I won't go into it. But I literally have stories for days about when, just the stars aligning itself for me, like opportunities, professional opportunities, speaking engagement opportunities, personal life relationship opportunities. Just like reflecting and developing as a person, where I sincerely believe that the universe has my destiny lined up, and that's just a matter of me showing up and listening. And so I feel like I've faced a lot of friction in life every time I felt like I needed to be in control by myself. Where I'm like, Bernadine, you will do this and you will do this then and you will do this way and all of that. But every time I just silence the outside noise and I say God, or I say God, I'm like, God, tell me what I need to do. Who do I need to talk to? How do I need to connect? Everything aligns itself. And I kid you not, too, as the founder of Know Your Truth, Speak Your Truth, like, for my company itself, it's all been God. There are themes, so I set goals for myself, and I'm like, oh, this is what I want to do in 6 months, this is what I want to do in a year, right? And I think about them, and I'd be thinking, Bernadine, yo, that's so dope. This is your aha moment. This is all you, right? I don't even do the work to have what I said manifest itself and the opportunities come my way. So I be thinking I come up with these ideas. Clearly I didn't.
Nope.
It's just that God is just kind of like, oh, now you're hearing me.
Yeah.
And watch me work.
There you go.
Like, watch me work.
Yeah.
So I have goals of speaking in other states and things like that. And I've said for year 2, this is what's going to happen. This is something I want to do. And people are coming. I haven't even put out my work yet for year 2.
No.
And people out of state are booking me. I didn't do this.
And that's beautiful because you've set the path already.
But I haven't even communicated with people.
You don't need to. You're everywhere.
I know.
In Boston, when it comes to millennials who are I don't like saying making noise, but making a name for themselves in a positive way in a community and everything like that. You have been one of the forerunners of that as the millennials coming up.
I didn't even know that.
I mean, you're still under 30, right?
Yeah.
So you're under 30, grew up here, people, exactly, take a breather,
I know, but that's about to come. It's going to come soon enough.
It's going to come because, I've been, and where I just came into this whole scene and everything, and every person I've met that has spoken about you has been high regard.
Really?
High regard. I mean, we all have our jokes.
God.
We all have our jokes of who
I know what y'all jokes
we all have our jokes. But y'all have your, you know what I'm saying? But that's who you are. That's who you are. So, you're a public speaker. You address people on a regular basis, and you deal with clients. So when your brain is going. You know what I'm saying? And I, as somebody who's coming in trying to figure out how to be like you, because I do look up to you, in the sense of the way you carry yourself, your vernacular, your speech patterns, everything. I told you, I'm trying to get on your speed, like the way y'all talk. I'm like, So what would you say is like with the way you grew up and where you are now? Well, let's start with what are the pros? Actually, let's start with the cons and then we'll end with the pros. What are the cons? Of your adolescence? Adolescence between 12 to 18.
12 to 18.
Yeah. What would you say?
So cons of my adolescence between the ages of 12 to 18. So it's hard for me, and I'll still list cons and I'll list pros. Yeah. The older I get, right, when they say like knowledge is power, and I think with age comes wisdom. I think with age does come wisdom, but it's about life experiences and maturity that way, right? I think it's really life experiences that provide you with a level of maturity to understand life dynamics. And what I mean by all of that is, while I can identify what my cons were, like the sure cons, I really sincerely feel like the cons that I've experienced in my life have led to positivity in my adulthood, right? So the cons of my adolescence have led to a lot of positivity in adulthood. And so I'll preface that. I like to preface it by saying that.
Yeah, I totally understand.
But I would say like cons for me growing up was growing up in a Caribbean household and being told, like what happens in the family stays in the family and you can't talk to anybody else about your problems. It's nobody's business. Kids are meant to be seen and not heard. Respect your elders, do for the men, serve them. Women are meant to cook and clean and fulfill those stereotypical gender roles and responsibilities. Whereas, I was just not that girl. I still am not
still
that
not.
woman.
Still not.
Just not me. So I feel like I always grew up with this form of tension. Like, I remember like my grandfather one day, may he rest in peace, came home. No, he was home watching us while my mother was working a 9 to 5, like a regular day. And he's like, my mother comes home from work and he's like upset. My mother's like, why are you upset? And he's like, because I was home all day with your daughter and your daughter never asked me what I wanted to eat, never checked up on me, like didn't feed me, give me something to drink, and this, that, and the third. And I remember looking at my grandfather like, your arms and your legs aren't broken. We're in the same house. I'm a child. So, like, why didn't you feed yourself and why didn't you feed me? Like, I don't understand why you thought I needed to take care. Like, I was just like, I was going at it with him and I was a child. But I'm looking at him like,
bruh.
Hello. But the expectation, right, is like, no matter how old you are, like, serve the man. I was just like, but my grandfather, like, aren't you the guardian? Like, didn't my mother, like, leave you here with me so that she didn't have to get a babysitter? Like, aren't you the babysitter? But whatever.
But, okay.
But culturally, there's that, you know, right. So, like, and I get it. But, like, that, so I think that those were some of the surface level challenges. I think where that played a factor, and you specified between 12 to 18, like, I remember dealing with numerous accounts of sexual assault and sexual trauma as an adolescent. And so being told what happens in the family stays in the family, like it's nobody's business. I was always at a crossroads because our American school system would tell you, if anything's happening, if you're ever hurt, if you're ever traumatized, if your safety's ever in jeopardy, you need to talk to someone. Yeah. Right. So I'm like, okay, school's telling me talk to somebody. My family's like, shut up.
Yeah. Girl, you better not say a
Where
bad
am I
word.
going? Like,
you better not.
Who serves precedence, right? I ultimately chose my school's way because I was suffocating and I was just like, I can't do this. And so, spoke about some of my sexual encounters and sexual trauma, like experiences around sexual trauma, and it just blew up. Like,
I'm sure it did.
No, like, blew the fuck up. Like, shit got real quick. You know, and like I felt insecure, I felt sad, I felt depressed, I felt confused, I felt betrayed, I felt like I betrayed people. I felt conflicted because I'm like,
you destroying your whole family.
I'm destroying my family from the sexual trauma that occurred in my family, things that occurred in school, in the community, and there's still some in my church, and I'm like, and there's still some stories I have yet to disclose because I'm still trying to unpack it all, right, and like make sense of it. So like again, 12 to 18.
It's all the same time, really.
Were truly, but like it's funny you pick those years because those were truly like the years where my body started to develop too, and so I looked older than I felt, you know, and I'm like, people would look at me and think I was older than I was at 15. They'd be like, you're 18, you're 20 something, and I'm like 14, 15 years old. Like, you're giving me all this attention, I don't even know what to do about it. I don't know what to do with it. So I would definitely say like that was certainly some cons in my adolescence. As far as pros were also, right, like being Caribbean, because I think that community in that world is dope. Like, you know, from the food, the get-togethers, like I'm still very close with a lot of the people I grew up with in my household, and in my circle, right, as a Haitian American. You know, like I remember like all the inside jokes with all of the friends at school, like Africans and particularly Nigerians and Haitians, I feel like are so similar.
We're very similar.
Like,
yeah, we are.
But even like the way our families respond was like, like, you know, like,
that is
like,
serious.
Yo, that so real. Like, like, you know, right? And so like,
that's us.
You know, and I'm like, yo, those like mannerisms are so similar. So like, my friends and I, like I grew up with a lot of like Nigerian friends too, so like we would joke about like, you know, like it like joke about it, like it would bring us a lot closer. Like it was a community, so like I loved that as far as like being Haitian, and being Caribbean. I also really loved our food. Like honestly, yo,
I am
like there is Haitian food's bomb.
Bomb. That black rice is something else.
Yo, Dia Jundra is amazing.
What is
it's
that
called?
called?
Dia Jundra, the black rice. Yeah, beach jollof rice.
Time out. No, it doesn't.
Nah.
We're not gonna get into this fight right now.
You know what? I'm about to throw an event. Haitian rice versus jollof rice.
I'm
period.
with it.
Red rice and beans and Gia Jonjon with jollof rice. It's exactly.
I'm just gonna eat. I'm just kidding.
Right. I'm like, it's different. So.
But it's beautiful though.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And honestly, I really do appreciate how we value family.
Yeah.
Because I do think like the Caribbean and work ethic. So. Family and work ethic on hands down. I'm like, there's no time to be lazy. Nope. People call it the immigrant grind. The immigrant grind is a real grind.
For real.
It is a sincere grind.
Listen, you know, my daughter's here with me today. Yeah. Right. And she just constantly sees me working. From my regular job to this, doing the other podcasts and all the other shows, recording other people, stuff like that. She's like, Dad, why do you work so much? I'm like, baby girl, this is all I know.
That's all you know.
This is all I know. Like, my parents didn't want me to work this way, but guess what? To have what they have, they're still busting their ass.
That's it.
And like, yes, like, okay, my parents came from, my dad came from a like legit village, right? Like huts type stuff back home. Yeah. My mom's a city girl. So he saw a plane one time and said, I'm going to America.
That's it.
Off of seeing that plane.
That's it.
And that passion, that motivation, that inspiration of seeing that plane changed everything.
Yeah.
Changed the whole dynamic of the family. All of that. You know, we might not get along, might not see eye to eye, but I respect everything that man has done.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying?
But that's the beauty. I think what you're talking about too is the beauty of like social and cultural capital, particularly cultural capital, right? So like he was exposed to an opportunity to see a plane, or maybe just happened to see it, and all of a sudden he's like, there's another world out there.
His brain started working.
That's where cultural capital is really important. And I want people as young as in the early stages of infancy to be exposed to so much about the world and communities and spaces and go to the opera, go to fashion shows, go to concerts, go to movies, create your own play.
Oh my God.
Like design your own content. Like just think outside the box and like understand how how many things exist in the world.
I think the only thing that I would have changed growing up is the whole in the Nigerian culture that I grew up in Boston, everybody was closed-minded in the sense of you had to be a doctor, you had to be a lawyer, something that was book-oriented. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't think that I'll be doing this
Yeah.
right now. If I had known that, oh, I could be an audio engineer and still make a living off of it. Oh, I can do.
Well, it's not too late.
all of that. I'm already that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know,
That's
but I'm just
real,
saying, like when I
but-
was younger, I didn't see none of that.
Right.
It was, no, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer, you have to figure out something, because I wasn't a school kid.
Yeah.
I'm not a guy that likes to go to school, but I love to read.
That's it.
So, and I like to work with my hands.
I mean, it's
So,
about structure and environments,
Yeah.
and that's why I tell people too, like, find your niche, grow in it.
Took
I tell
forever.
people it took forever, but I think part of it too is just like from our conversations, that we've had off air. It's just like, you've also been told no a lot, or been like, that's not the way, like that doesn't make sense, and so
not necessarily.
it seemed like you wanted to explore opportunities, and your
I
parent,
didn't know
your
what
father.
to. Well, he had opportunities that he wanted me to, for him.
So what
I
that,
didn't know what I wanted to do.
But see, but that's what I'm getting at is just like so as parents, we'll always have the best interest of our children at heart. That's how we operate, right? One of the elements of development that I hold very dear to my heart. I have yet to have children, but I will never forget I forget which book or books even. I've read it a couple of places where I learned that, like, when a child is demonstrating an interest in something, just say yes all the time. Because you never know what they'll stick to, what they'll pick up, and what they'll love. The minute we say no, we take away that level of creativity, or we shut it down. So adults rationalize where kids just explore.
And that's the difference.
So it's just like, well, just say yes. Like, yes, if you're within the means to do that, right?
Of course, yeah.
So listen, if my kid wants to take up karate and skydiving and flying, if I have the money, because I was just like, it's expensive.
Yeah.
So where there's a will, there's a way, right? Finding out the outlet. So like maybe free opportunities, etc. The more we can say yes to our kids, the more they really will be able to develop interests and passions and things like that, because they've been able to explore options without feeling restricted by narratives that adults have figured out for themselves.
And that's where I'm at now with my kids, where I'm like, whatever they want, go ahead and do it. Because I'm like, if I knew these things existed when I was younger, I would have dabbled a little more.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't.
And even if it's foreign to you.
Exactly.
Well, let's read about it.
I love to learn.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that I love to learn something new every time. You know what I'm saying? But because it was so much negativity around trying different things, I didn't try anything. I just said, fuck what you talking about. I'm just not going to do nothing.
Can't do it.
I didn't even do nothing. Like, I was just like, nah, I'm not doing nothing. I'm just going to chill out,
wild.
get a job, and I'm cooling. You know, and that put me in a dark space.
I believe it. Well, because again, you just weren't able to explore. That's what I mean. So it's just like, when we have our own preconceived notions of what success looks like, or what, security, job security, life security looks like, then that's going to be what we say to our kids. Like, do this because it does this. Caribbean folk know doctors, lawyers, engineers, and nurses, right? They're starting to understand business people, but it's not really. It's accountants. It's an accountant. It's like,
legit. That's all it is when you're an accountant.
The accountant. That's right?
They want you to sit in an office. Put on a suit or something.
But again, it makes sense, because to them, they're like, you're gonna get money. What they don't know is GAs don't get a lot of money.
No,
what they
do
don't know is that to be an accountant and to really make it, yes, it might be financially secure, but a lot of people don't enjoy the work. So
it's
like,
boring as hell. I couldn't do it.
It's boring, right? And
that's
so,
what my dad is, an accountant.
So like, it depends. Some people really, I have friends who are accountants. I'm not saying they don't love it, but they do it because it like literally pays them well. But they're like, you just do that, like, you know what I mean, and whatever. So doctors, like, I have friends who are doctors too. I have friends who are lawyers, and some of them are successful and some of them are not. Some people dabble in it just to dabble out because it's providing them with the financial means to do some of the other things that truly speak to their hearts and souls. And so again, there's no right or wrong. It's not even like better or worse. It's just what speaks to you and why.
What do you enjoy?
When I worked in higher ed, there were so many students, not kids, they're adults. Like, they're 18 or older. But they're always my kids. But who would come to me sad and truly depressed. I mean, depressed. And you're like, what's going on? And it's just like, well, like, I can't stay in college unless I major in this. Like, my parents always dreamed I would be this. Or like, college exposes you to so many more opportunities. So like, they go to college and they're like, oh my God, I can major in this. I can do this. I can go here. I can do.
Too many
so they're
majors.
Exposed. But it's amazing though, because again, it's what we're talking about when you're young, right? Like, I want to do so much. And all of a sudden they're enlightened and they're inspired, but it doesn't fit these roles that their parents initially thought for them. Or you're 7 and you say you want to be a doctor. Now your whole family says you're going to be a doctor, and that's all they know of you. And so that's what they think of you. What happens if you change and you're like, actually, I want to be an entrepreneur, or actually, I want to crush the game in retail?
Oh, if I know immigrants, it's going to be a hell.
Right? You know, and actually, I grew up wanting to be a lawyer. Everybody knew me as a lawyer. You know, and I still debate. I still debate it. But the one piece of advice I've received from a partner from one of my legal internships was, Bernadine, you have heart, soul, and a lot of passion. You have a lot of things you like to accomplish. Law will always be here. That's not going to change. Law school will always be here. That's not going to change. Do everything you'd like to do, and if you always come back to that, follow through. I kid you not, that stayed with me up until now. So I'm like, my heart always goes back to like, do I want this law degree or do I not? But I'm doing so much of this other stuff that I want to do, that had I went straight into law school,
you wouldn't be able to do that right now.
I literally would not be able to do it, because I'd be focused on my debt. I'd also just be focused on. I'd also be focused on the profession. Yeah. The profession wouldn't allow me to do what I do, the way that I do it in all the spaces that I occupy. So.
In this time that we're in, right? Mm-hmm. In the Black millennials, you're known as being transparent and honest about who you are and all that, right? I try. So, what brought you to that persona of Bernadine Truth?
Healing. The desire to heal, not superficially, but internally, and the desire to choose life and not death. And I'll be honest, like, I did a lot of trauma, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, a lot of serious moments of sadness. I mentioned, having encountered adolescent sexual trauma. That shifted my world far more than I ever would have imagined it ever would have, or I would have ever known.
Do you mind going into that a little bit?
Yeah, so like, it depends on which situation we want to talk about.
Wait.
I'm like,
how many situations do we have?
I can't even count. I honestly don't know. I might try to count it out loud now. So like, minor and major situations where my personal space is violated. So I remember a moment in high school, I was in a skirt and somebody walked right by me and slid his hand up my skirt and thought it would be funny to do that, and just violated my personal space like it was nothing. I don't even know what possessed this individual to think that was appropriate.
Did you know this person?
I mean, it was small school, so yeah, I knew the person, but not like that. There was no reason for that.
No, none.
And that was shortly after having been in a hospital for attempting to commit suicide, because my uncle had inappropriately touched me in my household, in my basement. And when I disclosed that information to my family, their initial reaction was that I'm lying and I'm making it up. They're like, she's looking for attention. So like, that was difficult to grow up in. You know, I remember like caseworkers coming to my house trying to ask me questions, and my mother would pace back and forth in the living room, like through the living room.
Stressed out.
Well, being like, shut up. Like, we're not talking, like, these people can't continue to invade our house like this, right? And she was hurt, and she was ashamed, and she didn't know what to do. You know, so like that was that time. You know, I grew up in a church and a culture where every time you greet somebody, you give them a kiss on the cheek. And
that is the Haitian culture.
Like that, right? So like, and I never minded it until it became uncomfortable. And I had to kiss this one particular individual in our church who wasn't even an active church member, but was connected to people who were active church members. And every time I would kiss him or like go to acknowledge him, he would hug me and squeeze me and touch me inappropriately, or I'd go to the bathroom and he'd follow me to the bathroom. Wow. And I never said anything because he was related to people that I was really close to, and I didn't know how to like
maneuver around that. Yeah.
And that was actually my very first interaction that I remember. So I was silenced then, and then other things transpired. And then, like I said, I grew up, grew up developing before I could even understand.
Yeah, your physique blew up real quick. Yeah.
Literally, no pun intended. And I'm just kind of like, who is this? Like, I didn't even want to wear a sports bra. I had a teacher tell my sister, like, yo, you need to tell Bernadine to wear a bra. Because I was like, I was a tomboy. I was like, I just want to play and
you can have a good time.
Like, who's watching these boobs? Like, I don't need these boobs. Like, they can, you know, I don't even know. Maybe I thought I was like going to like softball, baseball them to death. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I was just like, they're going to go away. Like, they just kept getting bigger. So I was like, oh, it's probably why they got so damn big, because I never restrained them. But anyway, so.
Wow,
I mean, I'm being for real. So like that happened. And so I was sad and I was hurt. And like I said, I grew up being told like what happens in family stays in the family, you know, talk about it. And so it was I think really for me it was that experience around being silenced and being told like you can't talk about it, and like, or then talking about it, but like being walked through the process of like how I need to talk about it in order to be respectful to my family, and then to friends or like environments, because I'm like, you know, I'm yelling at this student for touching me inappropriately. He heightened my reaction to him because of what happened in my family. So I was like wanting to like kill this kid. Because
at least you can't do anything to your family,
you
but
know,
at least
so I wanted to fuck him up, you
yeah.
know? And so, but then I couldn't really do that because they're just like, yo, B, like, it's not that it's not that serious, but it's not that serious. And like, you know, young people, whatever.
Did you at least,
people justify
Did
things.
you at least approach him like, yo, family?
Wrote him a letter. His family, his mother came in. He apologized, whatever. He was suspended for a bit, but I didn't care. I was just it was just steps after steps. And like I said too, so like catcalling, I felt like, I don't know if it's that I'm a professional now, so people are like, damn, we can't catcall her the same way.
Like, they look at you differently. Like, yo, that's not.
Because sometimes people be like, you, and I'm like, yes, think about it, because I'm like, I'm gonna knock you out.
You do come off with. You see the way you have a power walk. You know that, right?
Like, come with respect.
Of course.
So, but growing up, I would walk down the streets, like in downtown. I used to be in Boston Commons all the time, like hanging out with my friends, and people would touch me inappropriately. I've had like men just grab my breasts, like I was a teenager, grab my breasts on Boston. I will never forget, like there was Tellos or something like that, or Rainbows someplace in downtown, not too far from an entrance to a train station. And I was like walking towards it, and somebody literally just like grabbed both of my breasts like it was nothing. And I was just like, what?
Yo, I am no. Wow.
I mean, I can't make these things up. So I went through a point in time where my insecurities as an adolescent were like super, super steep, because I was ashamed. I was like, what is this body? Like, what is it about my body that just gave people permission to touch me whenever they wanted to touch me? People would touch my butt, slap my ass. Like, I mean, my physical being was not respected.
Invaded nonstop.
As a teenager. So there was like, and what was I gonna do? Like, who was I gonna say something to? There were a couple of times I would even yell at some guys, and I'd be like, yo, don't touch me like that. And men would seriously flex. Like, I thought I was gonna get killed. And so that silenced me. Like, I can seriously, like, as I'm talking to you now, I'm like, yeah, I remember
it's
these
all coming
encounters.
back, bro.
Like, I remember, like, there were times, like, I was always the person who would advocate for people, so I had a mouth on me. So I never really grew up getting into physical fights at all, because my mouth, like,
was running.
You'd be like, yeah, she's crazy, you know? And I'd be like, okay, never fight. I'd probably lose every fight, but my
your mouth is good, though. Hell yeah. People never understand. If you're good with your mouth,
and I was
talk that talk.
Like, yo, I don't know. So I was like, what? I was in there. So, but my physical being was never something that was respected, and that hurt a lot. And when my family didn't come to bat for me, or I felt like my family didn't come to bat for me, when, you know, I also grew up to not really trust white people. And the people that were the most supportive of my life were white people. So I didn't even know, like, I'm like, whose family, right? Like, then you start learning that you can choose your family. It's not always the family you're born into.
It's not about blood.
It's not about blood, but then those people didn't look like me, didn't get me. Then I would have to explain, like, why some racial slurs and comments would frustrate me. But then they would say some ignorant things, but they were the ones that saved me in so many ways.
It's always a double-edged sword with that shit.
It was like
always
crazy,
a double-edged sword.
Honestly, and that was how I grew up. So I'm like, where do I fit in? And then I always felt like, for some of the people that supported me the most, like I remember like a 6th grade, this gentleman, he was my 6th grade history teacher, then he became the dean of students of the school, and then he became like seriously the person I consider to be my father, like my ride or die, like everything. He was a white Jewish man. He was married to a Puerto Rican woman, and our relationship became somewhat unhealthy too, because my teacher, he used to be my 6th grade teacher, like put his life and his family on the line so much to protect me, to make sure that I had a shot at living life, that his wife ended up resenting him for all of the work that he put into, like, and all of the investments he put into me. But then I also felt like as I got older, he poured so much into me because she didn't work through a lot of her own personal trauma. And so he never wanted me to become her, but then became too hard on me. Yeah. And I was just like, I'm still growing. And I always felt like I was forever indebted to them for all that they did for me, even though they weren't healthy. Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out healthy. I mean, it was complicated, right?
No, like, that's life.
Adolescence. This is all in adolescence.
That's crazy.
So I'm like, again, so you ask, like, how did I get to this point? It's just processing all of my life interactions and moments. And I'm like, what did it all come down to? It was being silenced. It was being in a position where I couldn't express how I felt. I couldn't express what I think. I couldn't express that I was unsafe. I couldn't express where I felt safe. I couldn't go to places to feel like this is for me. All the while, the world's looking at me and thinking I'm a confident, super amazing person in my adolescence. And they're like, you're a great speaker. We want to nominate you for this. We want to send you here. And da-da-da. So then I'm living in this world where people are like glorifying me or like super proud of me, not knowing. And I'm going through it. And I'm like, who am I? Where do I go? And so I ended up being a cutter. And I attempted to commit suicide multiple times. And I attempted to commit suicide because I was like, this is not it. This cannot be life for me. Like, life for me cannot be being sexualized all the time, not being able to express how I feel, not knowing where safe havens are. The amount of contracts for safety I had to do as an adolescent were ridiculous, saying I promise to not kill myself tonight in order to not be in hospitals. I mean, again, like I went through it as a young person.
Wow.
But again, loving church, loving people. So like people would see me and be like, she's great, she's fine. Or she's crazy, because I always love to make people laugh. I was like a comedian.
Always having a good,
always
life
having
at a party.
good time, because I'm like, I will never let life defeat me, but I was defeated internally.
Wow.
And so then I was like, fast forward to adulthood, you know, I'm like, okay, you know, I went to college. I thrived in college. It was amazing. Racial consciousness became a thing in college for me, whatever. But,
of course.
You know, so like that taps into my voice and really, again, unpacking my adolescent years. In college, I would say, you know, I went through my own experiences there too. Like, I remember dealing with a guy who was an abusive human being, emotionally, physically, sexually. And I used to think like I enjoyed rough sex until I realized like he was like aggressively rough with me. But then I didn't know what passionate, sweet, consensual sex interactions maybe even was. So like I would accept it for what it was, only to find out years later that and he was like super aggressive, and like he had like some violent interactions with other women on this campus too, and I never disclosed anything that happened with him myself. And years after I graduated college, like he ended up being a person who was incarcerated for falsely impersonating a police officer and raping a woman.
Whoa.
So, right? So I'm like,
Whoa.
so I like, even as an adult, I'm like, I think, and I'm like again, like me and intimacy, me and life, like me and my body, me and my self-respect has just always walked a fine line of what makes sense and what doesn't.
See, now that explains why you're very hesitant with
certain things.
Yeah, you know, because I was actually like, yo, what's up?
Right?
Like,
but that's what I'm saying. I was like, there's levels to this.
Yeah.
And then so I, you know, went to college, whatever. Broke up with the first boyfriend that like really hurt my feelings. Like I broke up with this man. I was just like, I'm an RA. I'm so busy. I don't know what to do. He was just like, okay, cool. And I was like, actually, never mind. I want to get back together. And he was like, no.
I'm good.
He was like, nah, you already did it. I was like, what? He was like, no, I died. I ran into my best friend's room. I cried underneath her bed in college.
Why are you girls always like that? When you guys break up with us, it's cool, but the minute y'all try to come back and we say no, oh my God.
I wasn't ready. I was like, what? So then we broke up, and that was devastated. I was like, whatever. But anyway, so like I go through college, I live my life, living my best life. I'm like, having fun, socializing, all of that. Then I went to grad school, and I was just like, I'm gonna go to grad school. I'm gonna like, you know, I'm ready. I'm like, this is dope. I want to work with college students, not so much law anymore. Still always in the back of my mind, but I was like, education. I was like, I need more people to go to college because this shit changed my life. It gave me life. College changed my life. I'd be dead if I didn't go to college.
Wow.
I would say that wholeheartedly, because the amount of pain I went through before college, I was able to process it and have a safe space in college to be able to unpack to be able to understand what my worth and my sense of value and purpose happened through college.
Yeah. So
I was like, I went to grad school, got my master's, did work in education, and I love that. Then people are like, cultural again. Well, Bernadine, you got a bachelor's degree. You're doing your thing. You got a job. Why aren't you married? Right? Relationships.
Oh,
listen, let me tell you. Relationships. Like, why aren't you married? So I'm like, okay. I'm not really ready to date because, I mean, I dated a psycho. I mean, I was intimate with a psycho. and I broke up with the person that I had liked.
Do y'all not ever see like red flags?
I mean, there are times. So listen, I ended up dating this guy, and I was just like, you know what? Cool. Like, well, on paper, I do have everything worked out. So why don't I give love dating a chance? Started talking to this guy. Wasn't intimate with him at all. My past makes me very hesitant to be intimate with people, period.
Of course.
It takes me a while to build up to that. Made a promise to him to hang out with him one evening after a friend of mine's baby shower. Baby shower ran late. Haitian people don't have a sense of time.
No, they do not.
Ended up showing up to his house really late. I just wanted to show up to his house out of pure honesty and being a woman of my word as I'm just getting to know you. Sex was not my intention because I wasn't even thinking about that. And again, that's not where I was. Showed up to his place, late hours. One thing led to another, and he forced himself upon me. I said no. I was crying. I was doing my best to push him off of me. He didn't care. And so at 23 years old, 22, 23, I was raped. And I was ashamed. And I was embarrassed. And I felt like the world would look at me and, you know, rape victims get targeted and people are like, it's your fault.
Yeah.
And so I remember leaving his house when he finally got off of me and went to my house, and I just laid in my bed and I cried it off. And then I tried to address him about it, and he's like, you fucking lying. You're saying I fucking raped you. I never fucking raped you. What the fuck? And so never talked to him again after that conversation, and I never brought it up because I reflected on how my family wasn't supportive of me. I reflected on a family that took me in and how that destroyed them when they were there for me through molestation. I was just like, I never talked about rape. And so again, I was silenced and I didn't know what to do with myself.
At 23.
At 23. And so this is the longest point to this where, because you asked me to go into details, be careful what you ask for.
Hey man, I ain't complaining.
And so then we got here and we got to this point and I said, Bernadine, what the fuck? Like, who are you? Like,
what's going on?
What is going on?
Yeah.
And how are you living and how can you look at yourself and love yourself? And again, the world is like, she's amazing. She does it. I'm speaking everywhere, like not even for my company, but just people are asking me to come back as an alum for different things and a leader and X, Y, and Z. And the launch of my company came because, if I'll be 100% honest, the launch of my company came because the hurt was too deep, but also because I really cared about a gentleman that I didn't know how to care for. In a very real way.
Okay.
And
I'm gonna get comfy.
And no, like I still don't know to this day if I loved him, but I know that he showed me a level of respect and acknowledged me for who I was so much that I was just like, this is something, this is healthy for me.
Yeah.
But my life up until that point was super unhealthy, that I didn't even know how to like take care of that in a healthy way. And so I said, Bernadine, you need to heal yourself. You need to heal your family. You need to heal your community. What you're going through is not something that you're the only person who's experienced. We need to normalize these conversations. And I need people to be fully themselves in all spaces. Because Bernadine's not the only one with baggage that she's learning to unpack.
Everybody got baggage.
Everybody has baggage.
God.
Everybody has insecurities. Everybody has points of accomplishments that they're proud of. Everybody has things that they don't even know that they're scared of until it faces them.
Facts.
You know, and I was like, what am I going to do with this? Like, I've lost him. I have me. I want to continue to find me. I'm tired of being silenced. I'm not the only one who's silenced. I have friends around me or even myself in a professional. So like this wasn't even just sexual. In a professional world, right? I've had people say racial, microaggressions were real, racial comments that made no sense.
Time out.
So
what's microaggressions?
Microaggressions are like backhanded compliments. They can be backhanded compliments, or like you're so pretty, like you're so pretty for a black person, or like a dark person, or like oh my God, you're so articulate, but
like
being surprised by that.
Wow, okay.
You know, or again, in like professional spaces where people like surprised that you had like professional upward mobility so quickly, like, bitch, I killed my cases. Like, I don't know, what did you want from me? Like things like, again, like those subtle nuances where you're like, I think I should be happy about this, but I'm definitely
not. Like why are you talking to me like that? Yeah.
And it's hard because microaggressions are hard to pinpoint too sometimes. So like you'll be like, that is an ignorant ass comment. Excuse me, but then somebody will be like, but how and why we didn't mean like that, so that's not what we meant, so then it blow it over. But like, you know that you're pissed, like you know that you're bothered.
Yeah.
So again, how do you target it? So like I've experienced a number of elements of life too, sexual trauma and assault. I think things around my sexuality, like my sexual encounters, has definitely been the most salient. But I've had professional issues. I've had supervisors look at me inappropriately, sexually harass me, and I couldn't say anything. I've had supervisors target me and try to put me in the middle of professional issues and like had me advocate or write off on things that I didn't agree on, but like in order to secure my job I'd have to be okay with it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the fuck, like
that's
this is not me.
That's the professional world,
or
man.
Right, or people would say ignorant comments, and like I said, like racial comments. Like I remember a supervisor being like, a director being like, we just never know what we're gonna get with your hair now, do we? And I'm like,
what?
No, like, cause I don't know what I'm doing with my hair. So like, what's
you
your
find
problem?
out when I find out,
like how I feel. Like I'm black and I change my hair every day.
I went through that.
Or people like putting their hands in my head
oh
without permission.
My God. I tell my kids,
Cheetos.
I tell my kids that now. I'm like, yo, don't nobody touch your hair.
No, if you want it, you want it.
If you want it, but other than that,
I love a good head massage, right? But
when I'm not allowed, yeah,
right.
exactly.
I have to want it. So
I went through that when the whole what did you say? Misaggression? What was the word? Microaggression, right? This is when I was working security. I was working over at Seaport. It was funny, I'm actually working there now, building the towers for them rich white folk, whatever. You know what I mean? But I had the position on lock.
Yeah.
Like I had the whole building on lock. I wasn't trying to be a supervisor or anything like that. I just knew everything about my job. And everybody came to me and all of that. So I was working the front desk, and because now people are moving in because the building was empty at the time and everything, there was only a few tenants, but now people are moving in. My account manager comes up to me and he goes, "Show, they don't want you at the front anymore." And I was like, okay. See, my mentality was I understood why they didn't want me in the front anymore, so they pretty much fired me. They fired me, like literally I've been there for about 2 years already, holding it down, doing everything, all of that. Like there's no position or time slot that I could not fill. I knew everybody's job, But he came to me on a Friday, obviously, because they don't want to do anything on a Wednesday or anything like that. He's like, "Hey, Show, we're taking you off the schedule. They don't want you working here anymore." I was like, okay, cool, no problem. Thank you for the opportunity. Not a problem at all. Literally the next Tuesday, they called me back. I was like, "Hey, would you mind working the loading dock regularly?" I was like, "No, I wouldn't." Because at the time, I didn't have a job. So the fact that they called me back, I was just like, okay, at least I'm having a job again. You know what I'm saying? They was already looking for another position for me in another building, but the fact that I was going back there, they was like, okay, are we gonna have a problem with the building manager? I said, no. Is there a problem? Does she have a problem with me? They're like, no, she doesn't have a problem with you. I was like, then I have no problems with her. Now, I understood why she removed me from the front desk. This is a rich ass building. You know what I'm saying? The floors are marble, everything like that. So of course, when people walk into this building, they're not expecting to see me. They're expecting to see somebody that they're comfortable with. Cool, no problem. Like I said, I didn't understand that was microaggression before until now.
That's also like racial profiling. That's
big time.
That's
all
a lawsuit.
All of that. But
if you could,
at the age of 21, 22, I'm not tripping. I just know that I need a job.
Nah, don't get me started on stuff like that, though. Don't be grateful for things that you
No.
I
wasn't grateful.
You were. You said it. You just said it. I needed a job.
But at the same time,
we didn't allow certain things that we should never allow.
I get
out
you.
the hands of wanting a job.
My thought process.
I'm not doing your loading dock, and fuck you for firing me.
My thought process, besides the fact that I needed a job, is I played a long game, and I won at the end of the day. She got fired. I was still there. Actually, I became supervisor. You know what I'm saying? Because my thing is, I understand what you're saying, but the way that I watched my parents maneuver through life is they had an accent, and that was always a hindering aspect for them. But they used the way they moved. I saw the way they moved and maneuvered and overcame all of that shit, and still became the top gun.
Well, they learned to be diplomatic. I've definitely learned to be diplomatic when I was in college, right? Because I was a person who's like, you say something, you set me off.
Oh, yeah.
It's over.
Oh, yeah.
And I've learned to be like, well, not every fight is one that you need to fight.
Nope.
Two, it's just like,
you gotta pick your battles.
you definitely have to pick your battles. Two, it's also like, sometimes it's not even about whether or not this is good. It's just, is it good enough, right?
Exactly.
And so it's just like, well, can this actually get me somewhere else? Or...
And that was the point
for me. How can you build? Yeah. And I definitely get that. So that's not to say like I
that was the entire thing, because once I came back, it's crazy. Once I came back, my account manager and the owner of the company came and spoke to me on the side like, yo, we had no problems with you. It wasn't us that wanted to fire you. We were trying to fight for you and everything. Just put you somewhere else, but she just wanted you out of here. I was like, nah, I totally understand. I appreciate you guys fighting for me and everything like that. Like, these are white boys.
Well, that's different.
You know what I'm saying?
People were advocating for
you. So that's why we asked if I could be in the back, and then we're like, yeah, cool, that's fine. That's why you're back here. We know you know everything about the building. So my thing is, any job that I do, I'm always trying to do my best at it. So that I don't come off as the black guy, but at the same time I am the black guy, because they've also seen that side of me that I can get.
But you're also a black guy.
I'm also a black guy. But for me, in those circles, I know that I'm the black guy, but to me, you're also the white guy. So I flip it on. My family. My wife is white, and her side is obviously a whole white. You know how I move. I don't change who I am. I'm who I am. Period. And they're who they are. So because of that, it's helped me to understand their thought process. Right. Being around white people has helped me understand their thought process. I went to a mixed school with a whole bunch of white folk.
I grew up going to an all-white school, predominantly white school, up until 6th grade.
You can always pinpoint who's who and what's doing what in their mentalities.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm
saying? It's helpful. So like even having had a white person be very influential in my development is like, it's a real thing.
You saw that they can look outside your color.
Absolutely. But it's also like, so like I find the positives, there are positives of that, and then there are also negatives of that. Of course. But I also think that it's the same thing for black and brown folk, because I think black and brown folks, sometimes we also don't hold each other accountable enough, and sometimes we'll give each other a pass simply because that's my brother and sister. But if that's your brother and sister, then hold them accountable and say y'all messed up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Say we need to do better. Say we need to stop living life as victims of the system. Like, ask people like, well, what have they done to change their narratives? And like, I definitely understand institutionalized racism, infrastructures that are very prejudiced.
Yeah. Oh,
you know what I
I'm
mean?
African.
Like economics, socioeconomics, like really playing a factor in what we have access to, and equity. Like, I'm fully aware of all of it, and so that's when I'm like, white people, like, I need y'all to hold yourselves accountable for this work.
You have to.
If white people are not at a Black Lives Matter march, if white women are not at a Black Lives Matter march, don't say you're a feminist, because you need to be about all things related people, particularly women.
All things related.
But it's the same thing for people of color too. I say to them, I'm like, listen, like, we can blame the white man, we could talk about the systems, we could talk about the infrastructures all the time, because there's real truth to that. But if you're showing up to work late, why? If you're not documenting conversations via email countless times after being told to do so, why?
You gotta handle your business right.
If you're upset and so you're cursing up a storm in your place of work, why?
Why? Why are you acting? Why are you choosing right now?
There's certain things where I'm like, why?
This is not the block.
If you're like, fuck it, I don't know why this person got the promotion over me, so I'm just gonna do whatever I want and not follow orders.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, there's certain things where I'm like, we got to pick and choose our battles.
We got to pick and choose, man.
We got to pick and choose our
battles. Pick and choose.
Then it's no right or wrong. It's just better or worse. And I'm like, with every action,
there's a reaction.
Comes a reaction.
Always. So. My thing I always ask you is, when does Bernadine just cool out?
Now.
What do you... When do you take all the times from speaking engagements to your Bernadine truth with your clients and all of that? Even before I walked in here, you were talking to a client and everything. When do you take time to just woosah everything and actually cool yourself out?
I'm learning to do that now.
Okay.
I think my body's told me like slow down. So like I've been sick. Like even right now, while this is airing, I have like swollen intestines, and yeah, and I'm on medication for that. And I don't know how that happened. And the doctor's just like, it could have been like hemorrhoids. It could have been stress. Like he just started listing all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, like maybe I'm stressing. I didn't realize it, right? So like, but one of the things I'm trying to do now is to check in with myself. So like, I check in with myself with affirmations, and I tell myself, like, I ask myself, like, what do you want to do today? Like, what are you looking to accomplish today? I also give myself permission to be human and to go through life as I need to, right?
So you're a robot?
No, not a robot at all.
You just said give yourself permission to be a human.
What I mean by that is just like, I think sometimes we don't allow ourselves to make mistakes. We don't allow ourselves to like, slack. We don't allow ourselves to just, again, like say we're going to show up at 9 and maybe show up at 9:30. It's like, oh my God, like what's wrong with me? Or maybe tell somebody I'm going to call you back at this time and it didn't happen. So like, just life, or just in your day to day, making mistakes. People I think try to perfect so much about life. I've let go of perfection.
Yeah, I'm let go.
Because I'm like, I can't do that.
Nope.
And so much so that, like, if I'm running behind schedule on something, I tell myself, like, there's a reason. Like, I'm like, nope, this is happening for a reason. Because there's no way I wake up on time, do everything I need to do my prep work, and I still show up behind the 8 ball. Like, that just makes no sense to me. So, no, it really doesn't. So, to me, and I'm probably getting frustrated now, so I'm still learning. So, for me, I'm like, no, there's a reason. There's a reason why I'm driving down 8 different paths that I could take to get to one building. The one road I take, because it's typically the lesser packed of routes, has 5 car accidents in it.
Damn.
And there just has to be a reason. Like there just has to be a reason why I went down that route. And 9 out of 10 times, it's very clear to me. Actually, it's like, oh, this event didn't start on time. Somebody needed this, or because of this delay, this emergency call came through. Something else. Like literally, things have happened that have shown me like this is exactly what it's meant to be. And that's why I say I've let go of control being something that solely Bernadine does. But anyway, as far as and I leave it to God and the universe. But to answer your question, like when I take time for me, it's like I'm learning to do it. I'm learning to be more patient with myself. I'm learning to say, you know what, fear of missing out is real. It's not that important to me anymore. Like I'm just like
you was getting around, girl.
But that was where I was then, and I wanted that, and that fueled me, right? And I think that that was what I needed because I'm an extrovert and I'm a very social person, and so how I gain my energy is from being around people and interacting, not even just being around people, but like truly interacting with people. But as I've been getting older and just more situated, if you will, between like my 9-to-5 role in the district, my company, working as a motivational speaker, a blogger, a spoken word artist, a workshop facilitator, occasionally consulting, and then having the podcast show, serving on 2 boards, one as a board of trustees member, another one as a board
Flex
member.
on them, baby.
Flex on them, yo. Member, who also is spearheading some young alumni work and diversity work. And then being a friend, and then dating, and then being a daughter, which I suck at. I'm like, I don't even know the last time I talked to my mom. Or like a sister.
At least you talk to your mom when you can.
I don't even when I can, I sleep instead of talking to my mom. Mom, I love you though. So things like that. And so it's just like being more intentional now. I'm like, my body needs love. I felt like I used to be a lot lighter, like body wise. I gained a lot of weight by not prioritizing eating better and going to the gym. And so, right now, I'm like, I look at my weight now and I'm like, this is not where I want to be. This is not where I've been. I've worked hard to shed weight that I've now gained.
Because you're constantly on the go.
Yeah. And I'm like, you sitting here empowering everybody else to be for themselves. Where are you for you? What about Bernadine? So I'm sleeping. I make sure I sleep at least 7 hours every night.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. I sleep 7 to 8 hours every night. There's no way.
You are lucky.
And I will do everything I do and sleep 7 to 8 hours a night.
I get 4.
No, but
if I can 5.
I won't function otherwise, right? So I make sure of that. I do not play with my sleep. I promise you. just don't. I don't play with sleep. And, you know, really being transparent with people when I mess up to say I'm sorry and I'm working on it. Working on getting an assistant for myself to really help out with some of my scheduler pieces because, you know, sometimes that's part of it. It's just like I have so many emails.
I feel like I'm going to need that soon.
You know, you'll do it, you know. And then really, I think the icing on the cake for me more recently has been like I said, I'm an extrovert and I'm surrounded by people, but I took a moment to realize like, where are my friends? Like I'm surrounded by people and I feel alone. And it's because I'm shaking hands with everybody, but who am I truly like heart to heart connecting with and building with? And that's really important to me. And so one of the things I'm learning to do, and I'm still not great at it, you know, but it's on my task list, right? Not to make it an assignment, but I think part of it is like really making it routine.
Yep.
Is just intentionally practicing it. Is like hanging out with my friends and not at an event, but like I'm hanging out with my friends.
Man.
Right? Like I'm like, let's come over for dinner.
And
let's
just chill. Yeah.
Let's just talk. Like, how are you?
What's going on? Yeah.
Well, why do you think this way? Let's get into fucking life debates, yo. Like, let's debate shit that doesn't make sense, but we're just debating it. Can we? My friends will talk about TV shows that I've never watched.
Because you don't watch TV.
I don't watch TV. You know, I don't do Netflix. I'm not in that world, right? I work all the time. I've been to events and I'm at the event on my phone responding to clients. Why?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? But I was like in it.
Tunnel vision.
I have tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And it served me well, right? But again, what's losing? So now I'm like, I want to start to date. I want to
Amen.
I want to
Word.
I want to work on my heart. I want to trust. Dating is not hard for me. Trusting men is hard for me. And so it's like, so I can go on dates with you. Who doesn't want the meals and the courting?
Shit,
like, I'll be like, sign me up any day. So I go for that, right?
I'm trying to be a thot.
But I'm not trying to be a thot. I'm just trying to go
I just want meals. I just want to be fed.
But what I'm saying is like, you know, with that comes getting to know a person and trusting them with good intentions. Yeah. Now, I'll be honest. Dating has been an experience, yo, because some of y'all.
Hey, listen.
Are like when I tell you hot mess.
As a man now, as a grown man now, I'm seeing what's going on. I have to say for both sides. Wow. I don't know what it's like on the women's side. I'm only speaking on the side I know. Oh, of course. I've seen men go through stuff and I've seen y'all go through stuff.
I'm speaking on Bernadine truth right now. Bernadine truth right now.
I know, you're going through
it. This shit's tough. The things men say, listen, let me tell y'all. Let me tell you about the men. I love y'all. I love the men. I love men, like I do. And I love black men. Mm-hmm. I sincerely love black men. But black men, y'all have real insecurities. Black men have real hurt. Mm-hmm. Black men have real pain that y'all have yet to unpack. That is so problemsome in the ways that people function in conversation. And this level of entitlement that I've been exposed to, shit blows me out the water. Like, I kid you not.
I don't even know where they come from.
I owe them conversations. I owe them my body. I owe them my time.
Are you serious?
What? It's crazy. Now, that's the negative. I will say that there are positives too.
You listed off mad shit, yo.
Because if I can show, I don't know how to say this without sounding like I'm out there, because I'm really not like that. But I can show you the messages that have come through from men that I'm like, what world do you live in? And some people like flex on them and tell them who you are, but I never want to tell a man who I am.
Nah.
Because I don't want that. One, I don't need you to come into some speaking engagement and start being all up in your feelings and saying something disrespectful, because some of these messages, I think they do that. Two, some people are actually like low-key stalkers. That's creepy. That's not okay. Three, part of my challenge now too is like as I am growing a platform and continuing to grow in Boston, and I want to grow beyond New England,
of course,
and things like that, right? I question attention sometimes, because I'm like, how much of me do you know, right? And like, are you trying to get with me because of who Bernadine Truth is, or are you trying to get with me because you want to get to know Bernadine for Bernadine?
Word.
And then I have challenges sometimes because I'm like, men are insecure, like literally will come to me like, oh, I know that you're so social, so like you'll never have time for me, so like whatever. And I'm like, why are you trying to talk to me then? Because do you want to talk to me or not? Like, is
you starting off on that, bro?
Or then be upset with me because I hang out with certain friends, and I'm like, but they're my friends. Like, I actually know them, so I'm like, I don't know.
You're new, so
like I don't know how you wanted me to drop what
crazy.
I'm doing for you. Like I just don't know how you thought that was appropriate right now. Like I just said
Wow.
hello. Like
I've always so all the friends that I grew up with, names you know most of them, you know some of them, they were never like that. So now that I'm hearing that, I mean, I've seen guys do wild shit and everything. I'm just like, your shorty is okay with all of that? That's a little too much for me. It's a lot. You know, I've never been the kind of guy to, what's the word? Suffocate the other person. Live your life, do your thing. Because I don't own you. I don't want you to own me.
Listen.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
like,
the thing. So
I don't understand.
I need somebody who's as equally ambitious, right? So like, period. And so I'm like, but I say all that to say that also doesn't mean like do what I do, because I don't even know how I do what I do sometimes.
Just focus on you, what you're doing.
Just focus on you and just navigate that road. I also have guys who will come to me and then say something like this, like, yo, you're too good for me. I don't have life worked out yet. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, okay. So you can't
grow together?
Thank you. Grow together. Invest in each other. So to them, you know what I say? I'm like, one is I'm not going to knock somebody where they're at. Because one thing for sure, really, one of the differences between men and women really is how we prioritize and like can assess, can multitask and finesse through things, right? So while I can grow my company, my 9 to 5, my podcast, this, that, and third, and still try to commit to a relationship, I do know some men like who literally will be like, no. I need to do well in one.
Yeah.
Once one is done,
I go hop on the other one. Yeah.
Once that is done, you know what I mean? So like I can respect it. What I don't like is when people use that as a cop out to say like, you know, like I feel like it's because they think I'm on this tier of life.
Yeah.
And it's just like, do you want to? And it could be flattering, but to me it's a little insulting because you're not hearing me.
No.
Because what I'm saying to you is I'm not perfect. What I'm saying to you is I don't have it all figured out. What I'm saying to you is like I cry sometimes.
They don't see that.
I get anxious sometimes. I get nervous. You know, like I'm a human.
B, they don't see
and they're
none
like,
of that.
no.
You know what we see?
That's wild.
You know what we see?
What do you see?
We see burning the truth. We see you everywhere. Now, I've told you, for, you know, in our conversations privately and stuff, like me seeing you, that's not a problem. Mm-hmm. Like I like the fact that you're doing everything you're doing and you're occupied. That lets me know word. And when I'm busy, she's busy too. I don't have to work. We can continue texting.
Busy doing what?
You know what I'm saying?
I'm busy working.
I'm busy working too.
What kind of work?
Listen.
That's the stuff I actually. That's honestly though. If I'm gonna keep it a buck, when you talk about women too, that's something I also want to work on. So like one of the things I'm working on is how I don't, like I told you, I want to trust men.
Yeah, of course.
I really don't trust. I'm like, I will be busy forever, but the minute I'm texting you, if you don't respond back to me in 5 seconds, I'm like, what's wrong with you? Where you at? What are you doing? Right? And that's a problem.
That is a problem.
That's a problem.
A lot of y'all do that.
It's intense. And I think part of it is just like, because again, I've been conditioned, and I'm not going to blame the conditioning, is I identify the conditioning, right?
At least you accept it.
I grew up in a household where I've seen my uncles cheat. I've seen like my mother was lied to and cheated on. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a thing. So it's my world, and then I was sexually assaulted. So I'm always just like, yo, my brain goes through 8,000. Mind you, the person's just like, hey, how are you?
What's up?
And I'm like,
like, whoa,
and they're just like, yo, ma,
chill, breathe.
So
as
a woman, right? So I'm learning that about myself. That I'm like, once I care, I almost like fixate on it. Yeah. And I'm just like, I want this to work, or I want to focus on it. Like I want it to be okay.
That's a lot to unpack.
And it's a lot. And so one of the things, it was also why I'm intentionally dating, because I'm like, yo, B, the only way you can work through these things is by going out through there, these things and going out there. So
but if you need anybody to get roughed up, you know I got you.
Listen, and I'm grateful for that. So like being part of this podcast world too, like I've been introduced to like bros, like you're one of them. Kevin and Stefan are like seriously my brothers, like, you know what I mean, where I'm just like, all right, like I know I can chop it up with y'all and be like, all right, because all of y'all be like, yo, Bernadine, go date and live your best life.
Please.
Give me time.
Please.
Time.
No, we know. We understand.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's a whirlwind of an experience, but one that I feel really good about. And I'm like, I talk to these guys and I'm like, I'm getting to know them. I learn about myself through them. But again, like I know that there are some hurt and insecure black men out there for real.
So
for real,
I'm gonna say this on that. Okay, I understand that us black men.
Because I was like, and us too. So
yeah, y'all are hurt, and black men are hurt. I get that. We're all hurt.
Yeah, but y'all don't talk about it. And y'all mask it.
True. Totally true. You know
I
what
can
I'm
speak for
saying?
all it. I'm not speaking for all men out there. I'm not speaking for all men out there. I'm not gonna judge all of y'all, but
I see it as a cop out, an excuse, because we all go through trauma. Everybody around us has gone through something. I don't want to hear about your pain constantly. I don't want to. When girls tell me, yeah, he told me that, oh no, he's going through this, that, and the third. My guy, everybody's going through something, bro.
Everybody.
You cannot, if you don't like her or you don't. I'm not saying that back in the day I ain't used to string shorties along or nothing like that. That's part of the game. Cool, but you're at a stage, if we're 30 plus or getting to that stage, you know what shorty's looking for. If you're not with it, just tell her you're not with it. That's it. Don't cop out. Don't tell me. I'm not saying don't speak on your pain. Right. I'm not saying don't take time to take care of your stuff. I'm not saying none of that. But if you're falling back on that every time,
that's crazy.
You're a child to me.
I also think that, like, right now, I can't generalize. I've been generalizing, but I'm like, it's hard because it's like, on the one hand, I really understand that, like, there are a lot of black and brown men and women and people in general. I can't just put it on race, but for me, I will harp on our race because I definitely am seeing it in mass numbers and statistically speaking, far more than it's been in the past. Where like people are truly committing to their professional endeavors and being entrepreneurs and their academics, right? Gateway. Like it's a real thing. And back in the day, right, like our ancestors would also be in unhealthy relationships and accept things that they should have never accepted, right?
Listen.
So we're not saying we're tolerating that right now. A lot of us are saying like hell no to it. But I want us to find a place of balance though. Yeah. We need a place of balance. Yeah. We need a place where you're working towards your educational and professional goals for sure. And you're also saying, like, I don't want that unhealthy, but I'm not going to be scared to try. And I think that, like, middle part where we're not scared to try is what's challenging us right now. Because you'll have the people be like all or nothing. Like, they're just like, I'm definitely going to make this work or I can't make this work. But then it's just like hurdles, challenges come along the way and people just, like, disperse. Or they just won't invest. And I'm like, honestly, like, I had to have these conversations with my guy and girlfriends where I'm like, some of them who are in relationships and some of them who are debating being in relationships, and even myself, where I'm like, y'all, are we truly ready to say, like, I want to invest in you? And what I mean by investing in you means if, like for Bernadine, I'll use Bernadine as an example. Given my schedule, right, how much I'm social, I go to social events, networking events, and I'll go to all of my speaking engagements, and I'll do my 9 to 5, and which is like longer than 9 to 5. After my 9 to 5, if it's not speaking engagements, like I'm prepping for something.
Always
like I'm always.
I got a text back in the same day. I'm glad.
And I do my best, but I be forgetting. Especially when I get those transition texts. Like if I'm walking somewhere and I saw it, and then I just can't read them. I shouldn't read them. That's really
you shouldn't even open it.
The minute I open it, it's not an alert, so then I don't see it.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's like how many of us are truly saying, like, I'm ready to give this all I've got to just try, right? And nobody wants to do all of that. It's always like there's might be another guy or a girl out there that is better than this. You know what I mean? Like, if I stay with this person, then what if I want to move out of state in 5 years? I can't move out of state. Like,
all these what ifs.
5 years. Like, even if it's in 2 months. Figure it out when you get there. Or they'll be like, I'm looking to invest here and like this might impact the investment. Talk about it. I feel like, again, we're not talking about these things.
No, not.
And I'm like, I don't care. Listen, I got to be careful what I say on air because that might be true. But I was like, I will date somebody out of state. I don't know if I really date somebody out of state. So but what I'm saying is just like communication is important.
I'm going to tell you this, okay?
You've told me to date out of state already.
I told you to date out of state. Take the chance. I've seen it work.
Because you're like giving your schedule, it'll work. But.
You know what I'm saying? And not even that. It's just, it's a different environment that person's coming from. One of my close friends dated out of state. They're together. It's been a beautiful, I'm not saying everything's smooth. Right. You know what I'm saying? But he took that leap of faith. And that leap of faith is what I think is missing sometimes. Is what I'm talking about. Like, try and see what happens. And I'm saying that as a person who needs to do better to try too. Hey man, I need to do better at like giving some of these guys a shot. I mean, sometimes I've given people shots who didn't deserve the shots. Other times, whatever. But I'm working on it, and I think we're all a work in progress. Like I say to anybody, everyone's just like, well, what are you looking for? When dudes are trying to like court me, they're like, what do you want? I said a friendship, and I want to see where the friendship goes from there.
period. Because I'm like, I want you to be my best friend. I want to fart in front of you. I want to pick my wedgie in front of you. I want to pick my nose. I want to burp. I want to be nasty. Cause
I'm tired of being cute.
No, I'm tired. I don't need to be put together all the time.
No, facts.
Dead ass.
1,000.
If I cannot be with you and be ugly, and what I mean by like ugly, it's not even really be ugly, but I mean like just unpack and be naked.
Can I be in sweats?
Yeah, like it's not even be like when I say naked, it's not butt ass naked, but I mean it's like stripped of every element of protection.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's really and maybe I'm so old school that I'm single too. Because I'm like, I want that person where we're not saying anything, but you get it.
Yeah.
Where, like I said, I
get at each other's jokes.
Get each other's jokes.
Laughing.
I get food poisoning like every other day. So like if I'm throwing up and I'm just like disgusting, you're still like you're pretty. If I have no makeup on my face, right?
Good?
I don't look. You're not gonna be like, damn, babe, you look hurt. I look fine. I look fine because Bernadine Truth is not speaking everywhere every day. Okay.
Facts.
So I wake up with stank breath too. Like I need you to like me.
So
then.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna give you something that I went through while I was, dating my girl and everything like that before we got married, right? I just leapt. I just like jumped, you know what I'm saying? Like I've never once, prior to her, trusted fully anybody, anything like that. Yeah. I just jumped. And it was just like, all right, if this don't work, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not an emotional person. You know what I'm saying? And I know that. I know my emotional capacity is. Matter of fact, from the ages of my entire life till now, I'm just now starting to understand a little bit of my emotions. You know what I'm saying? So all that you're talking about, these are things that I was trying to figure out. And I just jumped. Only because she was a friend. She knew everything that I was doing, that was dirtbag shit and all of that, but saw that and did not categorize me as that one type of person. Because she saw everything else that I was capable of doing too. You know what I'm saying? So because of that, and she's like, look, yeah, you're a sleazeball, you can be a dirtbag, you're a fuck boy, all of that shit, but that doesn't define you. That's not who Shola is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
meanwhile, I'd be like, yep.
You know? And that's why I was like, that's all me. She's like, no, if you think that's all you are, you've accomplished all of this by yourself.
But that's love.
Yeah, exactly.
But what you're talking about, she loved you as a friend.
As a friend, everything from the beginning.
And that's grew to be in love with you.
And that's why, I'll tell you straight up,
Bro,
I'm straight up honest.
From the gate.
Exactly. And I'll tell you straight up right now, so everybody even knows. There are times where I'll see a shorty, and I'll be like, yo, what if? Then I'll play that in my head. And I'm like, yeah, now I'm good right where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm just like, I can tell that, what I have here
is different.
Is completely different. No, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, as much as, I'm not saying that she doesn't get infatuated with other people, or I don't get infatuated with people.
Well, yeah, it's human, right? But it's look and don't
but
touch.
But it never goes past that.
Right.
So I'm just like, I see it, and I'm like, I can see why.
Right.
Like, she knows the type of women that I'm attracted to. You know what I'm saying? She knows. So if she sees a certain type of chick and that's paying me attention, she doesn't care. But she sees the type that I am attracted to. Then she'll just be like, yeah, that's your type right there. You know, and I'm like, my God, she'll call my.
I think that there's something to be said about talking about it, right? So like again, like if I were to imagine this stuff like with a person that I really want to be with or something like that, like if he's just like, yo, she's pretty. Cool, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Or like I'll be like, yo, he's handsome. I still want to get with Morris Chestnut. That man is fine wine.
She wants Joe Budden bad.
And they've been Morris Chestnuts in real life. Now, some Morris Chestnuts don't have great personalities, so I'm not with the Morris Chestnut.
Exactly.
But it is what it is, right? So I mean, but it's being able to have those conversations.
You have to be.
But that's a level of security. Now, I know I'm saying that as a person who, if we had this conversation 3 years ago, I'd be like,
it wouldn't be going down. It wouldn't be going down.
It wouldn't be going down.
Oh my God. No, who you talking about?
Who that?
And that's what I was telling my friend.
Life.
Yeah, I was telling my friends, I'm like, I've never been a jealous person. That's just not who I am because I've never felt like I owned anybody. Yeah. Because I grew up in the African culture where you feel like you're possessed. You know, possessiveness is part of the culture. And I hated that completely. Because it's like, oh no, you came from me, I can take you out type shit. Like, no, you don't own me, bro. You don't own my brain, you don't own my thoughts, you don't know what I'm thinking. Matter of fact, you don't even know me and I'm your child. So, you know what I mean?
That's real. I wouldn't even say I'm jealous. So I've had to do a lot of reflecting too. So like it wasn't even, so like as you say jealousy, for me, I don't even think I was jealous or it came from a jealous place. It came from a place of fear.
Okay.
And so like my eyebrows would raise or like I would flex or something, not because I was jealous of that person, but because I would think like you're looking at that person, so then you would step out on me. So then you would cheat.
Yeah.
Not like that person's prettier than me, better than me.
Yeah.
Like it would never, or that
possibility.
Yeah, like
yeah.
shit, because I know what I got. So like I'm not concerned about that. It's just like I've watched people say that they love their man or woman and still cheat. You know what I mean? Or say like they have children at home. Like I have friends who were pregnant and their partners cheated on them. You get what I'm saying? Like, you know,
if I tell you my personal stuff,
so, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So, like, those are the things that I'm taking into situations where I'm like,
but those situations,
would you ever tell me? Like, how would I ever know? And I'm scared of like finding out.
Those situations, that's life. Shit happens.
I know. I'm
gonna tell you right now. Me and my shorty didn't start off, you know, the normal way. You know what I'm saying? I was with somebody prior. You know what I'm saying? And then she got pregnant. I was with my ex for 2 years after Johnny, my oldest, was born. You know what I'm saying? And my wife now, Crystal, never tripped on me. Didn't put me on child support, even though people told her to. None of that. Because I still came around. I was still there, the best that I could, all of that. Still trying to balance the girlfriend and baby mama bullshit and all of that.
Listen,
and
she's stronger than me.
Yo, listen. But guess what? It wasn't even her that tripped. It was my ex that was tripping the most. Because she couldn't deal with the fact that I had another child. And I told her, you don't have to be here. I've never held anybody's hand like you need to be with me. You know what I'm saying? Like you can go. Like I got it, and I was going, but see, I was going through that point.
Even that, you can go, bro. We built something. Was what you built for 2 years nothing?
It's not that. It's just that we're not there anymore. That's the thing.
So, but why don't we talk about it before we get there?
What do you mean? Talk about what?
Talk about how we're not there. So then that's why I stepped out.
We've had a conversation. That's not why I stepped out. See, that's the thing you have to get rid of. That, what's the reason? Sometimes there is just no reason.
So you just stepped out because you stepped out?
Because I could.
But we can do anything. It's just, but we have choices to make.
Was
the choice to say I could step out, but I'm choosing not to step out?
If I could do something, here's what I live by. Here's a saying that I live by. If I'm looking to do something, I only think about the consequences. If I can deal with that consequence, I'm doing it. Period.
So why did you think that you can deal with the consequence of sleeping with somebody else, possibly impregnating somebody else, and still being with that person?
Because the worst that she's gonna do is leave, and I'll be fine if she leaves.
And that's what I'm saying. So like exactly. So for you to be fine that she left meant that bond wasn't there.
No, it was there. It was there. You're confusing it too.
So if Crystal
you think of a bond,
but so like what I'm saying is like, let's say you do something and Crystal leaves, is that okay?
If she leaves, she leaves. I don't own her. She can bounce.
Like you'd be like, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I understand. Because that's your level. That's your level of acceptance.
And maybe I'll be single for the rest of my life. Because for me, I'm like, I hear what you're saying and logically I get it. But what I'm saying is in the heart and string part of things, like I would never, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like yes, like if I was with somebody and I wouldn't step out. But like if I or like do that, I don't think, right? I don't know.
You never know.
You never
That's
know.
what it is.
So right,
yeah.
but like for me, the thought of that person leaving is enough for me to be like, no.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't do that because I'm like, no. Because like if I'm telling somebody I love you, I've built with you, I want to build with you, I want to die with you, I want to like raise grandchildren, great grandchildren with you. Like I want to be, if you die before me, like depleted, like destroyed off of that. I'm not doing these things.
See,
that's compromising all of that.
See, for me, I don't see it like that. I see that because I don't own you, I'm only experiencing you at the time.
But
it's a journey.
That's what I'm saying.
So
it's different.
If our time is up, our time is up. It was lovely. Thank you very much. You know what I'm saying? That's literally because
that's probably why I struggle to date. Because,
that's the free spirit in me.
That'll be part of why I struggle to date, because to me I'm like this is even how I'm living right now. And if anybody who's talking to me is watching this, I apologize. Well, I'm not sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's who you are.
But I'm talking to multiple people right now, and that's new for me, right? As far as like juggling multiple people, but I don't do that often, right? And I don't do that often because I'm like, when you get 10%, you get 30%, you get 40%, you get 50%. I'm like
spread out.
It's a lot, and I'm like, I'd rather
imagine having a stable.
But But to me, I'm like, I'd rather like focus on like one person at a time and be like,
that's who you
like,
are.
where is it? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying.
And that's
the difference where I'd be like, there's no way I'm gonna be like, it's cool because if I lose you, I lose you, bruh. I did not just spend these months.
Time is relevant. It's relative. Time is relative because our time here is short, anyways.
I'm like, listen, I'm an old soul, and not old soul to say that I will accept any type of mistreatment at the hands of any man and still accept it. I'm an old soul in the sense that, like I said, I want to be stripped of everything and have nothing. Facts. And still be like, you are the apple of my eye to somebody. That's what she is to me. Somebody say that to me.
That's what she is to me, and she's accepted all my bullshit.
Yeah, you know and I'm like, yo, for somebody to hear my past and not be like, damn, she got too much going on, or for somebody to hear my ambitions and not be like, I can't keep up.
Men, you should not be afraid of this woman at all.
I'm really nice.
You know what I'm saying?
But I'm also really tough.
But that's fine. They should expect that. You should expect that.
I'm also like, because dudes would be like, I do this. I'd be like, so?
So?
I do that too.
Facts. That's one thing that I will give. I will give strong women. It's necessary. Mm-hmm. Like, who you're seeing right now, me doing this, everything that I've been doing, it's because of the backing and support of my wife. You know what I'm saying? She's the only woman that's ever been like, nah, go do your thing. I got you, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's what you want to do. Go handle that. You know what I mean? I'll help you figure it out. I'm not I'm a business person, but because of her, I've gotten better with my business. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
But that's the point, right? I tell people like, and the way I believe, I don't think partnerships to be like, oh my God, that's my other half. Nobody's my other half. I'm my whole.
I'm my whole, baby.
And in my whole, it's a process. I'm progressing.
Facts.
But I'm like, I'm my whole person. You're your whole person, and then we're two wholes together, being even more whole. I say. You know what I mean? And like being able to empower and balance each other out. So like,
you have to.
What your strengths are, she may have some weaknesses, and so that's
balance. Why we carry each other. We balance it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's being able to invest in each other's dreams. I tell people, it always makes me concerned when partnerships feel like they have to sacrifice who they are for the betterment of somebody else, because I think that's how you develop a lot of resentment. And I'm like, that's why I want to be with somebody who's like is equally as ambitious, or just has their own goals. I want you to care about my goals, but live your own goals, right? So like in my dream, like one of my fantasies in life is like, I have a speaking engagement somewhere. They have something going on somewhere.
FaceTime.
I don't have an iPhone. I don't do that. But
we gotta get you.
Listen. We'll meet in some airport in between. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Or like we'll meet in some country in between, some state in between.
And those are great adventures together.
Oh my God!
Great adventures together.
I can't wait for the day that I'm speaking out in the masses. And like my husband's in the audience, right? Or like my husband's in the audience with my kids, and my kids are being like, my mother is so whack and annoying, and I'd be like, I love my babies, like, you know what I mean? Or like I travel for them.
I'm gonna ask you, what are you most proud of?
I don't even know. I really don't.
Through everything that you've gone through, every hurdle that you've overcome, what is Bernadine the truth? And just be. Matter of fact, no, forget Bernadine the truth. Be Bernadine herself.
Bernadine, period. I am most proud of still being alive. Period. It wasn't something I would ever imagine. If I was 15 having this conversation, I would never think I'd be here today.
Facts.
And I wouldn't have known. Right? Totally, and it's because I chose to live life that I'm even able to see what I've been able to become and idolize what I could potentially become after this. Period.
With that. What is, before we wrap up, what is one advice that you would give somebody trying to figure out their place in this journey of life and how to stay optimistic, especially when things are the bleakest? When things are the hardest.
The hardest piece of advice, how to stay optimistic even when life is like the hardest, like when you are at your lowest.
Lowest.
I mean, I've been at the lowest for so many times. Couple of things. One, that love and healing starts and ends with you, for real. Seeking validation and affirmation from other people to understand your worth is a chase that you don't want. It's a game. It's a chasing game that you don't want to play, and I don't think you should ever play that with your life. I don't think that your worth and your value should ever be something that is quantified or qualified by anybody but yourself. Also that you are light. And what I mean by that is even in your darkest moments, and I mean those ugly cry, I can't even breathe right now, like death is my best friend moments, that you are light and you are enough. And if I ever believed or held on to the thought that I wasn't enough when I was 15, nobody would know Bernadine truth today.
Facts.
Period. And that is an actual fact.
Wow.
Like, fact. If I succeeded at committing suicide at 15, if I succeeded at 16, if I was a prostitute like I wanted to be, not wanted to be, but thought I would explore. Yeah. If I decided to never go to college, if I decided to never have faith in a world that was unknown to me, hoping for something better, since I would have been dead multiple times. If I wasn't a woman of faith, I would have been dead as a child. Right, praying at a statue in a church in Montreal, saying, God, heal me from this. I always believed in something else. And choosing life was it for me. And so again, you are life, you are light, and you are enough is it. And if you can just tell yourself that, you can get through it. Because I've seen some lows, dark times, and I still feel like I'm enough.
Beautiful. Thank you, B.
Thank you,
This was great, man.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in.
Yes.
It's been a dope-ass episode of Kicking It With Show.
Yes.
Bernadine Truth.
It's amazing.
We're from Boston.
Listen.
Holding it down. You will see her everywhere.
And listen, God willing.
You want to give anybody your socials where they can reach you?
Yes, absolutely. So, again, thank you, Show, for this opportunity.
This has been
Kicking
great.
It With Show has been dope. Learned from you. Hopefully you learned from me. I don't
Definitely,
know. We'll see.
Blessings, man, for real.
No, but again, I'm Bernadine Truth, founder of Know Your Truth, Speak Your Truth, Know Your Truth, Speak Your Truth, LLC. You can check me out on my website, BernadineTruth.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Bernadine Truth, on Facebook, Know Your Truth, Speak Your Truth. I'm also on Twitter at Bernadine Truth. And again, just feel free to email me at info@BernadineTruth.com. Motivational speaker, blogger, spoken word artist, and workshop facilitator, and occasional consultant for entrepreneurs. My last words to all of you is always understand the power and the value of knowing your truths and speaking your truths. Knowing where you come from, highs and lows, and knowing that you are perfectly imperfect is a start. But knowing that is just the beginning. Speaking on it is totally different. So live it, know it, breathe it, exist in it, and you are enough. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, B.
Thank you.
Everything that she just said, all the links to where you can reach her at will be in the info on the bottom. Don't worry about it. You guys definitely reach out to her. She's always open. This has been another episode of Kicking It With Show. Until next time.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.